Hello, this is Max Drake. I want to talk about WordPress keyboard shortcuts and some hacks I've been doing. I've been using WordPress for a while, and if we just jump into a WordPress area and go Shft+Alt+H, see there's not many shortcuts that are there, and a lot of these ones are just standard. Say, oh, wait a minute, Control+K is changed something into a link. Never knew that one. But some of them are just a standard Windows ones as well. But there's nothing for blocks, and it's really quite infuriating. Anyway, I was watching this gentleman's video, and he uses Apple Computer. Anyway, has different ways of using Text Expander, which is for Apple. And about 13.5 minutes in, he starts showing how he uses it for WordPress. And what he ended up using for WordPress was the Shortcode Ultimate Plugin. And Shortcode Ultimate Plugin. And so I have a text expander inside Windows called aText, and you can get this for free. There's a free version, and then there's a paid version, and the paid version is $5 for an annual subscription. And so I started to play with that, and I suddenly thought, wow, I can actually use the Shortcode Ultimate and play with some of those. So I can actually just type \L, and it makes me a list. So this is the code that it actually writes after I do that, and all I actually have to do is actually put the name of the list. So list 1, list 2, list 3 is the name that I've actually put into there, and then it makes that list for me there, and I can actually just copy some more, and if I want some more items in the list, and it puts a little twinkly star at the beginning. I found that was quite handy, and so the short code. So let's just look at that at this point in time. So if we come up here, this is the new thing for inserting a shortcode. You can put in all of these shortcodes all the way through here, and the grey ones are for free, and the coloured ones are for paid. But things like the heading, you can get a free heading, and we just do a heading here and do this one here. So it's going to wind up here, and it says this is the thing. So we've only given a default kind of thing. There are additional skins if you purchase the premium add-on. Anyway, we're just going to select the size. We just drag it up to a certain point. We're going to align left, let's say, through there. We're going to leave the margin. We're going to leave all of this, and we're going to say shortcode heading. And we go insert shortcode. So it's now put that shortcode in there, and it's given us the heading, and it's given us some details that it's putting and what alignment it's got, etc., etc., etc. through there. So that took a little way to do. Now, another thing that I could do is that I could then come up here and I could actually go and find a list and go and put one of those ones in there or something like that. Or what I've actually done, and this is frozen. No, we're still here, Del. We're here. So another one that I can do is I'm just going to type / and I'm going to type L. So this is for a list. So I'm just going to go L1, let's be creative, L2 and L3 for 3 items on the list, and then I'm just going to press enter for OK, and it's now dropped that bit of shortcode in there for doing a list. So all I actually had to do was type L. Now another one that I've got is you know, like the normal way for YouTube is you type / there, you can come down and type Y, that brings you to YouTube. If this wasn't popping up, you could then just press enter and it would bring the YouTube in there. You go and find a URL for that, copy, and we can just bash that in there, and then we got to go embed, and then it would do that. I've actually got one here, /Y, and then I just paste the URL in and go OK, and there it is. I could have actually just hit the OK button for that. So now at this point in time, let's just do, it's doing an auto save, so it's saved. So let's just go and refresh that and actually have a look and see what's happened through there. So this is the heading first of all. Now I think that heading's bloody ugly. And this is my list come through here, and I've got a little twinkly star, so it's a little bit better formatted than the list that you get inside the standard list that you actually have as a block. This is the standard /Y for a YouTube entry. This is the one that I actually have for that. So it does a lot of the same things through here. Now, one of my gripes is with, you know, and it actually modifies your style of writing. Like when I'm writing a blog. My ideas are coming through and I'm trying to blast away. So a lot of the times I'd write the title is through here, and then I'd come up and I'd then change that later to a heading. I've got the title through there, then I'd have to come up through there and go H3. And the reason I had to do those steps is that I wanted to keep the flow going all the way through. So I wouldn't do the formatting for things like titles later, but it was hard to go and identify what to do. But now I can actually just type H3 and then type the title and go OK. And there's I've got the title now. Now that was a hell of a lot easier to do. I can actually do this one here, \13. Oh no, it's not 13. I think I just put the 3 into there. On this one, this is the one using aText through here, and I'll type title and go enter through there. And this one even has the background in it. So this was something I got very excited about. Suddenly I could start doing things. So let's just go into the aText and look at some of the things that you can do. Like one of the ones that I've got are for links. Now let's just do links, which are another little pain point for me. This is a link to a site. So I would have that. Then I would come in a link. I would always bolden the links. I would always highlight the links. I would then, I'm just going to use Windows V into here and find that YouTube video through there. I'd always open in another tab and then I'd click. So there's a number of steps to do that. And in the end, I suddenly thought, I'll use a button. So \B brings up the button. What's the URL? I'll put the URL in and link to site. I'll go enter for OK. And there I've actually got it in, and it's done me a button all the way through there. Hooray, hooray. So I can do that with a very simple thing. I don't have to keep on bringing my mouse around. I do find moving my mouse around discouraging. There is a thing where you can actually have you can have this here, but sometimes I find I can't read the text above because it's getting in the way. So I've got to the point now where I actually just leave it in the top toolbar because I find it allows me to write a lot quicker and review what I've got. I find this when it's floating, it can be quite irritating. So another thing that I can do is there is some text I want to highlight. Now in this line, and so I can actually just copy that to clipboard. Now I can just \HL and it will paste that in there. And I've got to do that. Sometimes it leaves a character out. And in fact, it's put I've got the space. It's creating a new line. This SU spacer is a thing for that. So I did find a whole lot of these things really handy to do, and I ended up finding a lot more. Now, a couple of examples of the one that I've used is this box that I find is really handy. I find the buttons for the link, they stand out very strong, and this is really useful. Another one that I'd never have done, this is a particular program that I've got that describes a whole lot of hotkeys that you can use for a particular program. Now, I wanted the hotkeys to be easy to read. I didn't want them to have the whole lot of text and hard to find. So I got this AutoExpand where there's a little video and an explanation of how to use a certain thing, but it's easy to scroll down and see most of the ones that you want to do. You don't have to scroll for 300 miles because they're all reasonably close together. It'd be nice if I can reduce that line depth there, but I might explore that later. At this point in time, so this is called a spoiler, and I never used one before, and I thought that's really brilliant. It really works for me. So I find with coming into here, I'm doing a lot more. I'm trying a lot more of these things out. So I'm actually being able to get down and get to individual blocks and run those scripts. So we just save this at this point in time, and we just go through and we just do a refresh and see the little events that we've had so far. So I didn't like their heading, so I found another method of being able to do the heading or the title of the way through there. And instead of the link, I end up with a little button instead of that, and I've got something where I can actually highlight text and just say, oh, just look at that, which is a handy way as you're going through things. I'll go back and I'm suddenly thinking, you're going to miss that in that sentence, and that's an important thing, or again, like a button or something that you need to do. So I'm starting to find that my posts are getting a lot richer, and I'm not having to do it. And this is one of the things when you're actually coming into here, you're saying, oh, I'm using a different block. Oh, what was the one I was using through there? And then you've got to fiddle with it and stuff like that. The way that I've got it set it up is there's a lot less thinking that you need to do. So now when I ended up with the title I actually found, I went into the code editor. Now I'd sort of forgotten about the code editor. Sorry, I needed that, and I didn't need we can go back to full screen mode through there. I forgotten about the video, the code editor inside Guttenberg. Inside Classic it was easy to see, but inside Guttenberg it's got this ridiculous shortcut key that's absolutely stupid to use. But let's just go down and look at one of these titles. So here's the title. So that's what it does to put in a heading. So it just says I need to put all of that in there. Now, if I just come up here, so I'm going to copy this, I'm just going to exit the code editor, and if I come into here and I type V, it'll actually drop that in for me there, because I've just pasted it in from clipboard, and it goes in so quickly that it happens very fast. Now, when I was first using the aText through there, there's a setting in here I wasn't aware of, and it's inside advanced. It's got always use clipboard, so I'm going to disable that now. Now I'm now going to go back and demonstrate another thing that you can do. So inside here I'm going to type the YouTube. Now watch how slowly it types that YouTube one in. So type YouTube, and we're going to put 1, 2, 3 in there and go OK. Now you see how slowly it types it in. Now if you type in that stuff inside the visual editor and it types it in really, really slowly, it won't actually write the title out. It'll actually write that specific code out. So what you actually see on the screen is that code there. Also, when you actually have it, you need to glue it all together. So you need it to be all in one line for when you paste it in there, because inside of HTML you actually need the break line to break this. This automatically breaks, so it actually puts this on the 3 when it in the background. Although you paste it in like that, it actually comes in like that in the code part of the thing to do. So let's just build one through here. So we're going to take this H3 through here, and inside aText we're going to come into here and we're going to just call this an abbreviation through here, a new snippet, and we're going to call it slash brackets like that, because I want to and what we're going to do, I'm going to see if I can leave it in the original and see what happens there. So and inside here we want to be able to put some text in for the title. So inside here we're going to do an insert, a field, and we're going to put H3 title, so we know what's going into there, and we go OK for that field. So now let's go and try that abbreviation out. So we haven't got pasting in. So if I come into here and I type backslash those, and I'm going to type whatever, enter. You see how it's slowly typing it out? Now it's not actually doing what it wants, and it's gone all sulky about the whole thing, and it's suddenly saying we don't like that at all. So we'll just shift and delete. But now if I go into here and I go into the aText and I go the settings advanced, on all applications we're using the clipboard to insert the snippet, it still shouldn't work because I've got it on 3 separate lines. I haven't got it all joined up. But let's just try it out anyway, and we're going to go backslash the 2 things, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 and go enter. And it actually does it. It's doing it so damn fast, but it usually works out better if you're inside your A part through here, you've got all of them just joined together onto one line. So that's just something that I found through there. So that's one thing that you can do. Now, another thing that you can do, as I said, I've forgotten to use the code editor since Guttenburg because it's not obvious where it is. It's also got this bloody complicated, you try putting your fingers on there, Control plus Shift plus Alt, and then you've got to use your second hand to hit the M key. What we can do inside of aText is that we can come into here. I'm just going to delete this. Now what we can do inside this one here is that we can insert keystroke, and the keystroke that we're going to insert is going to be called Control Shift Alt and M, and we're going to go OK. And this one we're just going to call it backslash open bracket. So that one there, now when I'm in here I can just go backslash open bracket and it just flicks me straight into the code editor. And supposedly if I hit it again it'll switch. A lot of times I've actually got to hit the exit code editor to get back out of there. So suddenly I've got a whole load of keys that I particularly want myself personally to be able to, for me to navigate and to get through and start adding a whole lot of features inside my posts and blogs and pages that I'm doing. So I'm only using it intermittent. If I was actually doing websites and web building all the time, I'd be using this tool over and over and over again. And this is something that actually happens. Now, one of the ones that I've got here is that I'm just going to copy that there, and I'm going to go into \HL to highlight that through there. It still seems to be leaving, it's doing two things here. I've got this space, and the space is the same as the \BR, which is a break line in Themebob. So this just breaks it into a new line. Now I don't need that, so I'm just going to clean that out, and I'm going to put somewhere in the plains. Now it's not all plain sailing as well. So here I want to create a key that will do a highlighter the same as this highlighter here. So what we will do is that we will just go into here, and this is what this code is actually saying, that it needs to have a span on all of these ones here. So on this one here, I've got the shortcodes to actually do the highlighting, and that comes through in yellow because that's what I've actually set that up as. In this one here, I've got the highlighter in blue. So I'm now going to take this and go back into aText through here, and we'll just ignore this one and use this same code. Now you don't want it all to have the same ID. Now there is a way. Whoops. And then I want Control V, bring it in. So I normally make the ID blank on those ones there. Then I need a text box in there, so I want to go and add in a field for my highlighted text. Highlighted text is what I want to call that one there. You could, whoa. I think I might have hit some other trigger through there. Now, I want to draw your attention here. This starts off with a span, and then it goes into a strong, and then it goes into a strong, and then it goes back into a span. Now, what I did notice on this, when I come into here, and I go and add something in here, it might need that at the end, but it doesn't matter. We'll just actually bash it in, and that was the back bracket through there, and then pink, I'll type there and go OK. Let's put something into there. Now if we exit the code editor, that hasn't come through first of all because I don't think it's within the things, but if I just do it here, \, here, and I do green, why not, and enter, you'll see it's made it bold, but it hasn't colored in the background. And when you go back into the M, you'll find here, oh, here it is. No, it isn't. Where's it gone? I can't see green anywhere. Where's green gone? Somewhere in the planes. Exit code editor. And then back brackets green. Enter. So it's got the green in there, but when I go, oh, sorry, so what had happened, and I think let's just click out of that so it's still there. And if I just go M1 now and go into there, you'll see the green is in there, but it's only got strong, whereas you see this other one was a span. So for some reason, when you're putting it in, it will do the strong, but it won't let you do the span for some reason. So I'd need to do a little bit more research on that as to why that's not quite happening. So maybe some of them might break a little bit. So that's fine. I was just intrigued by some of those processes through there. So it's not a perfect way of doing everything. The other thing which I haven't been able to do is images. Now, if you just go into here, you'll see through here, it will put a dummy image. So therefore, it'll put a holding place for it. And there's another one here where it puts a dummy something else. I can't remember what it was. A dummy text as well. So it allows that to sit through there. And it'll allow you to do a gallery, but the photo panel inside here. Now, when I actually tried to do the thing with the an image, I found it was really complicated because you've got your image on your computer, you've got to upload it onto your server, and then it's given an ID with the date that's through there. So first of all, it's got to upload that image into your thing, and then you've got to work out what the name of that image is, and then you can actually put it in as well. So since most of the time I'm actually just pulling images off my computer, I suddenly thought that was too complicated to go into. So what I've actually found was that with the aText or the text expander, with this particular one, I'm able to do, an awful lot of keys that I can access things within aText with the text expander to do inside WordPress using shortcodes and also the code editor to be able to swipe some of this and actually just add in bits where I want certain features to be. But I can't do all of them, but that's fine. The fact that I can actually do an awful lot more, it speeds up my whole flow. And I really, that is one negative I really like using WordPress, is that I'm trying a new topic out or something like that, and as I'm going along, I'm just making notes to myself of what I cock up, because later on I come back, I might leave that particular topic or thing that I'm doing some little technical thing somewhere, and I come back to it 3 months later, a year later, and I forgot, and I just go through the same stupidity as I went the first time. This way, I actually find I actually can just keep those notes going, and I find they're great references to go back, because it means that the next time I start, I'm starting so much further forward because I'd already made the mistakes, and I can actually see where those mistakes are made, so I can highlight this. But what I find is, as I'm writing, it's sort of a stream of consciousness. I'm sort of writing as fast as I can, and then I'm actually, and it just looks so bland unless you start putting headers in and highlighting, or you're putting links in and stuff like that, because you're pulling a whole lot of information in that other people are finding useful. And so the fact that I can use the hotkeys now, and it's easy to go back and reference those. So again, like inside the aText ones through here at this point in time, I've got them junked up with a whole load of other ones. I'm going to end up with another little one, and it's just going to be called WordPress, and I'm going to have a setup for those so that I can quickly just come down and look at the ones that I've got to actually grab them. And the nice thing with this, another nice thing is here, you can actually add a note on there. So if you've got something that just looks a little bit complicated, you can actually go in there and give yourself an explainer. You can also put labels and tags on there. I just find that I don't use that very much, and I find that the word search at the beginning, so you look up A and just go enter, and it'll filter out anything with an A in it, but it does it everywhere, so it's not that great. This is a use for text expander that I found. Now, when I was first doing this, before I figured out that within the aText, I found that little advanced thing about always using clipboard to doing the snippet. There's another little dangerous one I just want to highlight at this point in time. If we just go back to the ones that we've got, one of the things that you've got to do is you've got to ignore cases. When I was actually doing this before, I was doing a demonstration, and what it was actually doing right at the very beginning, it was I'm just going to refresh this page. So I'm just going to save the draft, and I'm just going to refresh this page through here and do the refresh. And you see this highlighting bit through here. Now it comes through highlighting there. Now if I capitalize that, which it was doing, now as it was putting it in, because it was the first letter, it was capitalizing it. When I did a refresh, you'll see that disappears. So it goes back to that because it's capitalized. So this is another thing within the setup of this particular one that you've got to do, is you've got to ignore case. So unless you do that, it sort of breaks the link. So that's the shortcode things that it was actually breaking. I don't think it'll break it in the other one, but just be aware of things like that. These ones, so sometimes you've just got to go back and do a little bit of debugging and actually just look at what you've got in your snippet to what actually gets pasted into the actual thing, because the things change. Some of those things change, so they're not that good. Now, what I was saying before, I was using aText to begin with, and I found I was having difficulty putting the text in fast enough for it to be able to do a lot of the titles and the things like that inside of aText, because the text was taking too long to actually type out. So in the end, I wrote this in auto hotkeys. So I just want to, so you can use auto hotkeys. That's a free program. It does scripting language. You would actually write your scripts yourself. You could then run those scripts, and they run in the background as a little icon in the background that you would actually use. Or the other way that we did it is that we use the aText. So there are two free ways that you can do. Now, the beauty that one of the reasons I actually bought aText was that I got some of the things to work inside aText, but I didn't get other things to work inside aText. And one of the things with I find with text expanders and those sort of things, they get you most of the way, but there's always this bit that you've got to do some coding. One of the things inside here is that you can actually put in your own scripting language. So if we look in here, you can put plain text, you can put rich text, so that's good for pasting into something like Word. You can do your HTML, you can do a script, you can actually put images and stuff inside here. But the thing that got me excited here was you can do Batch Shell, PowerShell, JavaScript, VBScript, Python, and you can do custom. So I've got custom auto hotkey. So at the beginning, I was doing a little title box. So this one's just got /2, and it was putting the text into the clipboard, and then it was pasting it into WordPress. So that's how I did it. So that was the second iteration. First of all, I actually wrote an external script to make this happen. So I got it working as a keyboard shortcut inside WordPress. Then I found that I suddenly thought, I can actually bring my auto hotkey script inside aText to do. And then later on, I found that there was a thing inside aText that it would just paste your snippet straight in for you if you wanted it to. So there were several iterations that I used. Now, this is just with this particular thing that you do. Now, the other thing I just want to draw your attention to is for aText, you can get it from Microsoft Store, or you can get it from Trang Ke Nyam's site, which is here. Now, if you download it from the Microsoft Store, if you then decide to buy it, there's a little diamond on the side that you just click on it, and then it takes you to purchase it. It will let you can pay $5 for your annual subscription, and it lets you have one license on one PC. If you buy it in here and buy it from this one, so you download this one from here instead of the Microsoft Office one, it lets you put it up on 3 computers for $5. So it's the better value one. And I've just found this as I said, I got some of the things working, and I found it was very good with the shortcodes, and that's what I did with the text expanders. Then I moved across to auto hotkeys because I'm comfortable scripting in that language. Then I moved the stuff from auto hotkeys back into aText, and it's met all of those needs that I've actually found, and I've been able to do it in the most simple format possible. So I hope you find that of an interest, but to me, that's one of the frustrations which I actually have with WordPress, is that there's no keyboard shortcuts, no sensible keyboard shortcuts for just getting blocks in there. So this way, within either using shortcodes or else by using going into the code editor and actually seeing what the code looked like, putting it all onto one line and then just pasting it from thing, you'll most probably be able to do some things. Now, there might be a limit on how much you can actually paste in for it to actually be accepted inside the visual editor, that you might actually have to go into the code editor to do it. But again, in the code editor, you can use other shortcut keys through there, so you don't have to use the Control plus Shift plus Alt plus M, which I think is a ridiculous, it's not a handy shortcut, it's just bloody awkward. So I hope that's been of interest to you. I've definitely found a few. Now, what I would like is if you found this useful and you come up with some good ideas or other ones or other blocks that you think are absolutely brilliant to do, please put them in the post so that other people can share them with other people, because I'm just anything that speeds up WordPress for me, I just love, because and the thing is, I actually don't run it off a local server. I actually run it off my main server, so it's a little bit slow anyway, and just having all of those other iterations just make it even slower. So for somebody who's actually building websites, that is definitely the way. I was so excited when I first saw somebody use the / to actually bring through this. I thought this was really marvelous. But now this definitely beats all of that hands down. So thank you very much for watching. If you found it useful, please give a thumbs up. Thank you very much.